If you're not lucky enough or old enough to know Embrace, then just stop this video now and go check them out here on YouTube or on iTunes, and then come back here, because I promise you, once you discover their music, you will realize that they are actually the sign of the 90s. Well, they are very much so to me, and I think whoever defined the Gallagher brothers as the Britpop brothers was sorely mistaken or was lying to you, because the McNamara brothers to me sound much more like the proper Britpop sound than the Gallaghers and Oasis ever did. I love Noel Gallagher's songwriting, don't get me wrong, but, and I think this will define Embrace pretty easily, I used to have a keyboard in the 90s. I used to have this aspiration of music writing myself. But anyway, and you know, keyboards have different modes and everything, so if you went on the, I think on the Britpop mode back then already, which was the late 90s, so Britpop was already a word out there, and you went on the Britpop mode again, you would naturally get the sound of an Embrace song. They produced 5 albums from 98 to 2006, and then they took a hiatus, basically also because I think their record label at the time, Independiente, which was sort of just left to end, I think. I think it's one of the labels that were not actually ever closed down, but basically it just exhausted all the contracts, and now nobody's on the label anymore. Used to have Travis, it used to have David Ford as well, but yeah, I think all the contracts now are expired, and Embrace now are with Cooking Vinyl, which is another great independent label here in the UK, because they have another album out, which is the 6th one, and it's just simply eponymously called Embrace, finally, after 5 albums, and they toured this album, and they came by London. Now, my history with Embrace started live because in 2000, in Dublin, I saw them because they were supporting the Cranberries. At the time, I'll be honest, my English was basically non-existent, but even then, as hard as it was for me to be in Dublin and be there for a gig, I loved their sound so much that I tried to put together a few words and try to get the other girls, which clearly knew a lot about their music already, to tell me who were these guys playing and what was the song, what was the album, and eventually I found out that what I fell in love with at the time was Come Back to What You Know by Embrace, of course. They do have a tendency to write anthemic songs, and some might say that they adhere to that kind of band, just like Oasis, if I might say though, that just have a very recognizable sound, which some might argue it's because all their songs sound the same. So you pick your side. This is the fact that yes, they have a very recognizable style. If you decide that it's a good thing because it's very defining of their sound, or it's not a good thing, that's up to you. I think they did try and make some experiments in this last album, because there's something that could be defined as sort of dancey. But yeah, their anthemic sound is still there. Their main single is Follow You Home, and it's just in the style of Come Back to What You Know, The Good Will Out, and Fireworks, and all those big anthemic songs that they're all the good people. Because Danny and Richard, whom are the aforementioned McNamara brothers, and they are the songwriters for Embrace, have a tendency, and an ability, a talent, unique talent, to always manage to put into a song something that they actually have to get a choir for, but then it will be perfect live, because of course it's basically written for the public to sing to them. But yeah, the point is they came by London with their tour in late May. They had 2 consecutive dates at Shepherd Bush Empire. I hadn't seen them in possibly 9 or 10 years. I saw them last time in Dublin, when I was living in Dublin. And the set was still amazing to me. Although, I'll have to be honest, I love the fact that the public can be so involved. And I love the fact that being a Britpop era band, they basically had their fans grow with them. So you can actually see, apart from me, you could actually see people who happened to be 16, 18, teenagers at the time when Embrace first came out in 1998, if I'm not wrong. And now those people who are in their 30s, they were still there with the same kind of emphasis, because of course seeing Embrace like it was to me. It was literally like being in a time capsule. It was being 16 again, so you feel like you can let go and having it, because you're there with the music. You're there and you're sharing that same experience that makes you feel so much younger with so many other people who feel the same way. So I think usually I think that's the great thing about a live gig. But anyway, I am not quite sure that I can say that at the Shepherd Bush Empire gig, I saw the second one, I think, the one on the 22nd of May. I don't think Danny was in top-notch form. I'm really sorry to say that, but I have to be honest. I either there was something wrong with the loop sound and he wasn't quite hearing what he was doing, or he had a sore throat, I don't know. But he definitely wasn't in top-notch form, vocal-wise. But other than that, the way that he could engage the public still and make them clap and make them sing and make me so happy personally, because it's amazing to see, again, this person whom I saw first when I was a teenager, and then at the moment 14 years later, I just see them again and I just feel the same, and they clearly feel the same, and the songs are those, and there are more now, but they are still, again, recognizable and something that you can link back, enough for it to give you the feeling that time hasn't passed, which is something very hard to achieve. Not that common at all. So when something like that happens, it's always worth investing into your time, your money, whatever it is. I think the first single they had out of this album was Refugees, but the second one, which is Follow You Home, I think it might actually be better than the anthemic song that I've come to love for years now, so Come Back to What You Know, or I love Ashes personally. And as much as I love Gravity, I still have my issues with Chris Martin from Coldplay. So, but anyway, back to the gig. Once you were getting into the venue in Shepherd's Bush, there would be signs telling you that you, if possible, weren't allowed to use your mobile phone until they would play Follow You Home. Again, the second single, the lead single from this new album. And they weren't telling you why. They would just trust us, then at that point you will be asked to take out your phone. But and fine, let's not use the phones, which is hard, to be honest, because everybody nowadays takes pictures with phones and does a check-in or does an Instagram or stuff like that. So I've tried, and it was hard not to pick up my phone, but I didn't until we got to Follow You Home. And that's what they did then, because they had these fluorescent things, but they didn't have enough for all the crowd, of course. So what they had us do, every single one, and Danny would actually go and point out to the people that wouldn't turn the light on their phones on, so that they could have a lighter effect. There you go, and it was really good live, but please go and check out the video, because personally I love it. I think one of the great things about Embrace is because I think they very openly endorse that very emotional and teenage romantic drama, sort of, because go and listen to Follow You Home and you will see what I mean when you can even romanticize the fact that basically you're a stalker. But I do understand, and I do remember that when you said it like that as a teenager, when you meant it like that as a teenager, it's not threatening at all. It's just the most romantic thing that you can come up with. And the video itself, I think, delivers very well the fact that you have that kind of bubbling energy that you don't know how to put out, and you just start running through the streets and stuff like that. And the fact that a girl actually followed you home in the video to Danny doesn't look that bad at all. So I think it gives hope in a weird way to everyone who has a fangirl or a fanboy side, and let's be honest, who doesn't? But yeah, maybe in a different way than The Cure did in March at the Royal Albert Hall, but Embrace proved that they can definitely create time wormholes as well. And that was amazing to me personally, and I can't wait for them to tour again. So if you have the chance, I'm not sure they actually ever had anything much out in Europe, but if they do, and if they come around Europe, or they tour the UK again, please go and see them, because they're just amazing. They're completely worth the time, and they have this ability to make timeless music from a very specific time and place though. So anytime that you need to feel like you're back in the 90s, you put on Embrace and it will feel like that. I'm pretty positive about that. Now, I'll be honest, I feel guilty when I'm filming something like this at the Google Studios, which is where I am, because I never feel like just something where I'm talking to the camera is worth this much effort in terms of equipment and everything that Google very kindly provides to me. But as usual, well, I have the songs, of course. I told you already about Follow You Home, I think, in another video. But of course, as promised, at the end of every video, I have the songs, and I actually have something that possibly will make this look closer to whatever the record club used to be, because there are new albums coming out that I can't wait to listen to, and that if you don't know yet, I'm gonna tell you about very, very quickly. In September, the 24th of September, if I'm not wrong, All J have their second album finally coming out, and I think it's called This Is All Yours, and possibly it's gonna be the title of a song, and so it's definitely gonna be referred to a specific character or something. But when an album it's called like that and it makes you feel, you the fan, like it's about you, I love it. I think it's a great thing to do, and with the kind of amazing following that All J gathered in just a couple of years, naming the second album This Is All For You, I think it's brilliant, and of course, how could it not be? Thank you, Corda. Twin Atlantic have their third album coming out, I think July and August. I saw them live last month. Some might know that I have a folk story about Twin Atlantic that saw me involved in December last year. Very funny tiny thing where I ended up all night chatting to this very intelligent guy, very cute actually, but that wasn't the point, very intelligent, and I end up knowing the day after that he's actually Sam, as in McTrusty, as in from Twin Atlantic. But that was actually a great way to get acquainted with Twin Atlantic to me, and so now I have this sort of personal feeling, and he's lovely, all the guys in the band are lovely, their manager Amy is amazing, so I might be biased because I like them all personally so much, but the songs are so fucking very good. They sound very much, if you like Biffy Clyro, you're possibly gonna like Twin Atlantic as well. I love Biffy Clyro personally. I think they're both from Glasgow as well, which helps. What else is coming out? Clap Your Hands, Say Yeah, aka Alec, did lounge tour last month, where basically he was playing around Europe, and the venues that he was playing were actually possibly fan lounges most of the time. While here in London he played at the Songkick. He played at the Songkick offices, and we had a little chat. It was really interesting to find out his perspective about doing a tour such as that, which is very peculiar and brings you very close to the people that you're actually playing to and for and with sometimes. Their new album, which is called Only Run, I think was just released this week. I had a preview listen back in May, and I think it's one of those albums that is not invasive enough, but it's nice enough to be a non-skip album, so you can keep it on the background and it will just sound good. And the weird thing to me was that actually Alec's voice in some songs reminded me a tiny bit of Bono. Have a listen and let me know if I should have my ears checked, but I think it actually sounded like Bono at some point, which was really interesting. And I think technically that's it. Well, to be honest, I just went to the Camden Rocks last week. Very good, like basically the Camden Crawl, but for rock-oriented sounds, which is amazing. Blitzkits, the Subways, Reverend and the Makers were playing. Absolutely great stuff. But it's just the second year that it is on, so I think they have to still figure out some details about organization. But other than that, absolutely brilliant lineup. Considering again, it's basically a Saturday afternoon night in Camden, and instead of just going from pub to pub, you have a wristband for 20-25 quid, and you just go from a venue to another listening to good songs, which is great. The Camden Crawl instead, I think it's coming in mid-late June, I don't quite remember. I'll be there, and the main thing that I have my mind focused on so hard and so much is that Dry the River are gonna be there and play. And maybe I should leave you with Dry the River song then, because I've told you about so many bands anyway, and especially in the last part. And go listen to Embrace. Algae, you must know by now, don't you? Clap your hands, say yeah. Check out Only Run because it's really worth the effort. And again, if you're around London or Camden in late June, I think the 21st, the 22nd, but check please, or I'll put the information down here. The Camden Crow will be up. Drive the River will play there. Go and listen to History Book by Drive the River and let me know if you like it, because personally I love it. It's very hard for me to stay away actually. I think musically, these are most of the updates that I can give you at the moment. I'm trying to make a Q&A video to just, you know, start things clean and over. So if you want to send me any kind of question regarding myself, regarding what I do, regarding anything really, just leave a comment, or you can write me. The email is in the box, but anyway, it's gingerlyginger@gitc.tv, which is still the old Jane Teacups, may rest in peace, email address, which is still working though, it's still me, so you can go in and write me there and I'll be personally reading everything. So until the next time, where I'll put together more good music, more playlists. Again, you find the link of the playlist on Spotify down here. Thank you so much for spending time with me these last 10-15 minutes. Hopefully it went down to that, and I will see you soon. Thanks again, and go listen to Drive the River and History Book and let me know what you think. Bye.